Good evening, my fellow peers. This is Paco Machin from the band Hexen, and today we're going to be talking about dynamics or in dynamics effects. To be more precise, we're going to be taking a look at the SSL E-Channel from Waves from the SSL 4000 collection. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a listen to the 8-bar beat or the 8-bar loop that I made for this assignment. Let's just take a listen. So there we go, nothing special. But what is special is this plugin and the way it works. See, it's made out of different stages. It has a dynamic stage, a filter stage, an EQ stage, and an expander or a gate stage. And you can make those, you can take those stages and route them in different spots within the signal. So you can have your dynamics after or before EQ, your filters before or after dynamics, and you can just route those in whatever way you want or whatever way you need. And you can also bypass them and just have a, let's say, like a hardware emulated sound, and has a whole bunch of stuff that we probably won't get into right now. But let's just start with the basics. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to monitor the amount of signal that is coming in and out of our compressor. And we do that by let's solo our kick track. And as you can see, I'm almost hitting the red, and I don't really want that. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the gain that's coming into my compressor, and I'm going to lower it by 3 dB. Now, if I want to meter the output, the overall output of the plugin, I can just hit output, and now it is showing me the amount of signal that is coming from my plugin after it has gone from the dynamics to the filters to the EQ to the expanders and the gates, and it's just coming from the output of the compressor itself. The little switch right here, the little red switch, this means this is for changing phase, a 180 degree, and that's a pretty basic, and that's pretty useful as well. So let's talk a little bit about ratio. We need to talk about dynamics and compression. Then ratio is one of the more important aspects. Ratio is the amount of compression that is going to be given to an audio signal after it has gone through a certain threshold level. Let's say I have a 2-to-1 ratio, and suddenly my audio goes 10 dB above my threshold. Well, then my 2-to-1 ratio is going to be taking those 10 decibels and is going to lower them to 5 decibels. If I have a 10 decibels over my threshold and I have a 5-to-1 ratio, then it's going to take those 10 decibels, and since it is a 5-to-1 ratio, it is going to lower the 2 dB. So it's pretty straightforward, and that's how ratio works in a nutshell. Next, we need to take a look at two different things. Release times, which is when the compressor starts letting go or starts decompressing in a way. And we can set that very easily in this plugin. Just taking hold of our knob, and let's say for my kick drum, I want to follow the flow of my kick audio. So as you can see, we need to follow the slope from our audio. We're going to put in a 4-to-1 ratio or 5-to-1 ratio, 4.5. And I'm going to give it a 0.2 second release time. This plugin gives me the option from going from a 0.1 release to all the way to a 4-second release time, which is a huge amount. And that one more important thing about this plugin, you won't see an attack knob because it has a auto attack. It's programmed in a way that it kind of senses the audio that's coming in. It has its own attack, but there is a way you could put in your own attack with the switch, and this is just a switch to make it a 1 millisecond attack time. Now this is the amount of time it takes for the compressor to kick in. By default, it is set to automatic, and you can just set it on, and it'll have a 1 millisecond attack time. The next thing that we need to take a look at is our threshold. And as you can see, by not even giving it by not even moving my threshold, I can already see that it's giving me like about 6 dB. So let's say I want to give it a little bit more, just a little bit below 10, which is a lot of compression. Probably won't need that much of compression, but just for the example's sake. So let's say I have my threshold at 5 dB with a 4:1 ratio with a point 0.2 second attack release time, and with this, in this case, I'm going to have my attack set to auto because I don't want the 1 millisecond attack time. And that's basically it for the first part of the dynamic section of the SSL plugin. Now, let's take. I need to tell you about how the plugin works by default. Audio comes into our plugin, then it goes into the dynamic section, then it goes into the filters, then into the EQ, and then if we have the expander and the gate as well, and then it goes to the output of the plugin. So if I hit the split button on the filters section, what it's going to do is now the filters come before the dynamics. And let's take a look at this section now. So it is made out of two different filters, a low pass and a high pass filter. We're going to take the high pass filter and we're going to roll our knob up to, let's say, 30 hertz. So everything that's below 30 hertz is going to be filtered off. And let's take our low pass filter and let's give it a amount of, let's say, 10K. And everything that's above 10K is now getting filtered as well. So we've set our filters, we've set our compression ratio, our threshold, our release time, and now let's take a look at the EQ section, which is one of the more cooler aspects of this plugin, because you can give it a little bit of a nudge, and let's say if you want a little bit more punchiness or a little bit more bass, or you want to roll off certain frequencies that you don't like, well, you can do that here. And you can have 4 bands in this plugin: high filter, and then the high mid filter, low mid, and the low frequency filter. Let's say that I want to give my kick a little bit of a boost at around 60 hertz. Let's say I'm going to give it like 2.5 dB, and I want a bell shape for this frequency movement that we're doing here. So instead of a slope, this part is going to be a bell shape, which is kind of like this, like the signal. And as you can see, only the high filter and the low filter have that option. But the high mid filters and the low mid frequency filters also have the option for you to pinpoint a certain frequency and to lower or raise the amount of dB that you want to give it, along with the fact that they have a Q factor that it can make it a little bit narrower, or it could broaden the Q factor. So let's say that I want to give it a little bit of a boost at around, let's say, 350, let's say 3 dB boost, and I want to broaden the amount of the Q factor. There's about good. And let's take a listen to our audio without the plugin. Now let's take a listen to our audio with the plugin and all the settings enabled right now. And remember that right now the audio is coming into our plugin, and it's going into the filter section, then to the dynamics, then into the EQ section. So as you can see, it's already a bit more defined than it used to be. So right now I'm going to leave the I'm going to take off the split option, and I'm going to first take the signal into my dynamic section, then into the filter section. And as you can see, when I took off the filters, since it is giving me more signal to process, is giving me a lot more compression than it would have with the filters before the dynamics. Now, let's say that I want to take my dynamics and put them after the EQ. So if I want my compression to go after the EQ, I just have to hit the channel out, and that'll take my dynamics all the way up to the end of the chain from the compressor. First it'll go into the filters and the EQs, and then it'll go into the dynamics section. And you can also bypass the EQ and the dynamic section just by clicking on the bypass buttons to each respective part of the plugin, and that will be it. So let's take a look. Let's make a few movements to our kick. Let's just see if we can make it a little bit more punchier. There we go. That's already sounding a lot better. Well, a lot more defined. Now let's hear the kick with the whole loop as a whole. Bypassed. It's a lot more muddier. And as you can see, when I kick the compressor in, it's giving me a whole bunch of punch that I just didn't have before. And that's a brief overview of what this plugin can do. It can do a whole lot more. I'll do a whole video after the course, and we'll go a lot deeper in what these buttons can do. We can put a side chain. We'll go into the expanders and the gate section of this plugin, and we'll do that a few weeks from now. But for now, I guess this is it for the video. I hope you like it. Hope it help you out. I would really recommend that you learn how to use this plugin, because it's just a beast. It's a beast of a plugin that you just gotta have in your repertoire of tools. So I guess I'll see you next week for our next assignment, and you guys keep rocking. Yeah.